We're live.
Yes. Here we go again, family. Episode number 4. This time we have our guest, our family, Rebecca Olmos. Let me tell you a little bit about Rebecca Olmos, guys. All right. So Rebecca Olmos is a cannabis enthusiast, writer, and a bud tender. She also has a bachelor's degree in communication from CSU East Bay, where she started her writing career working for the campus newspaper. Her work is featured in publications like The Weed Blog, Miss Marijuana Oficial, and Mdrn Day Muse. I'm sorry.
Mdrn Day Muse.
Mdrn Day Muse.
Yeah, sorry, that was kind of hard.
My bad, but we got it. In addition to writing for NOG-MD, she's currently writing for the Cannifornian and Chemistry blog. And she also, the most important thing, she's one of our editors here at the BALCA Boys, the BALCA book, and also a writer, published author herself. So yeah, let's give it a clap for guests and family, Rebecca. Yeah, so good to have you, Rebecca.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here. I always love being around BALCA, you know?
It's
always a good time. It's always a party of some sort, right?
Yeah. We always try to have a good time. So yeah, can you tell us a little bit your role in La Voz and editing the BALCA literature?
Yeah, of course. So I am a writer and editor, right? So I write a lot about cannabis in general, and I take a break doing that editing. So reading other people's articles, and I've been doing that. I was a writer for BALCA first, and you guys reached out to me and were like, write about anything. So I was like, cool. So I wrote about my experience with not being able to speak Spanish, and my love for weed, and then I transitioned into just editing for you guys, and it's been so much fun reading everybody's stories, and I do that for NOG-MD as well, which is a little bit more cannabis research based.
Nice.
And also, I'm a poet, so it's creative stuff.
Nice.
Words are my jam, That's any way I can interact and read people's stories and help people's stories be clearer. I think that's really always my goal with BALCA, right? It's just to make sure that whatever message that you have is easy to read for everybody and accessible for everybody. So I have a lot of fun doing it.
Oh, that's really awesome. Yeah, we respect so much what you're doing, and what I really appreciate is that you transition your passion into this industry. You know what I mean? It's hard to find the space. When you love reading, writing, and helping people in this way. It's hard to you to find a niche, and you have done it, and it's crazy because I remember first we read your stuff, it's like, oh, she's really good, and then obviously we try to keep you around, and I'm glad, and thank you for all your help. That's what I want to say, and what you do is crazy.
Yeah, no, I've been doing a lot of work with the BALCA publication, so it's been incredible working with you as you're helping, doing incredible editing, really phenomenal, thorough editing, incredible writing, incredible layout, game planning. You've been such a valuable player to the publication, and none of us get that formal, hey, you did all this.
Yeah, that's right.
We're all volunteers, and none of us have got paid for any of this. Just FYI, we do this because we see this as an important community and movement, and so you definitely accentuate those values, so it's been incredible. A lot of people have dropped off. They can't handle doing a lot of volunteer work all the time, and then you can, and so it's really incredible. And part of the quality of the reading and writing you're going to get from the BALCA literature has to do with your intervention and your engagement. So it's just very rich, and we hope to continue for many years.
Yeah, I'm with the BALCA message, right? I think that's why I'm here. And I think collided at a good time. I was looking for volunteer work, too, when, we connected.
Timing.
And it was such a random, you guys were hosting an event in Oakland, and I went with a homegirl at the time, and I just listened to you talk about, the bud tender, and just, it was, I was I resonated.
We have my book somewhere.
Yeah. But, the bud tender education, I bought that book, and I was I just felt so seen, when I think as a bud tender, it's also a role, right, that doesn't get a lot of, No one's like,
oh, they're like the the best part of like
$15 an hour helping hundreds of
people,
patients
just
in an hour.
patients,
quick too. And I will say,
hard.
the message is changing. I think people are starting to like understand and respect the role, and I think I met you guys at the right time, because I just needed, because I was a bartender like peak pandemic.
Yeah.
So
we got to know about that.
so
in San Jose.
in San Jose, in a very busy shop with a lot of community, and that was the piece I wrote for Mdrn Day Muse, and that piece was just about that moment that you realize how ingrained cannabis is connected to this community.
Wow.
Like I'm like, oh, like they're not gonna not have it. This is gonna be something that they need, and so it was crazy, and I heard your message at the right time, and I had something to say, and you guys really gave me a place to say it. And so my love for BALCA is very true to just feeling connected as a community and wanting other people to experience the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I got to feel that way, and so it's always like something I pitch when I meet bartenders, when I'm out in the field. As a brand ambassador now, because I'm no longer a bartender, I feel like I served my time, and I respect the role a lot, but I was in need of something. It is.
Yep.
It's the entrance into the world. I tell everyone, I'm like, be a bartender first, because you can see everything. You can see cultivation, you can see all the brands, you can see the community, you can see, it's just the best place to start. And I know it has like a really quick turnaround time, but even if you do only spend a couple months,
just understanding it.
Yeah, just
9 to 12 months, I tell people is a good.
Yeah, I did 3 years.
Yeah, 3 years is incredible.
Yeah, that's great.
We know
you're like a veteran, like you're a general of the bartender community.
No.
3 years served.
Some people it's a lifestyle.
Some people it's like, no, I know a lot of people, and that's what they love.
Right.
Really helping. That's what I'm saying. This position is so important, but because of the nature, I feel like the transition, because that, like, dude, how it was before, before it was like legal or like it was only medicinal in California, they were able to pay them better. So that's what a lot of the talent had to go, So in the new structure of it, because of taxes, that's what they don't pay in that much. So it's a tough like job, entrance position, like you say, it's like helping hundreds and hundreds of patients a day. It's like.
So did you definitely played a role of educating the bud tenders at your old location? Do you want to explore any of that?
Of course.
Because I think that's really interesting, because
that's cool.
You were writing about cannabis as a bud tender, serving thousands of patients, and helping build BALCA all at the same time. Yeah,
that's crazy. I it's always someone else that puts that into perspective for you. I have a genuine love for cannabis. I always say, like, I'm a stoner first, right? Like, that's where I'm at. I smoke weed. I like weed. It's always where I felt comfortable. And, educating the bud tenders. Well, first, those are my homies, right? That was my crew.
Work with, your crew, yeah. That's the truth.
It was like organic relationships.
Yeah. And it was like pandemic, so we were stuck with each other all the time, like working full time, 8 hours.
Nobody else was working. Yeah. That's the crazy thing. Like you guys were the only ones open, pretty much. Like a lot of businesses were
essential workers.
Essential workers. That's right. Yeah.
That's what I'm telling people. They weren't gonna not have it. They're like, you're gonna work. But how blessed was I, right? Like honestly,
that's true.
I was like, because I was a waitress before. So when I transitioned, excuse me. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Dude, that's crazy during the pandemic. Bartenders were like hustling, bro.
Yeah, okay, I will say I made some good money, It was a good time. It was a good time to work. It was a good time to work. Overtime. And we started getting tips. Tip your bartender. Tip your bartender.
Yes, tip your bartender.
And managers are not allowed to steal tips.
Yes.
And management cannot touch it.
Don't steal bartenders' tips also. That's a thing. That's happening.
It's illegal.
Yeah. It's just like, I'm like, come on. They're already struggling. You can take their money. Anyways, but, so it was a good time. And so I was very blessed, and I worked with a lovely lady, Murphy. Shout out to Murph. And she was our education manager. Nice. So she was like in charge of educating the staff, which was they don't have that everywhere. And I think they have it in different forms.
Okay,
You know?
yeah, I see.
Some places, because the reality is you do need to know about product. But I worked with Murph, and we just kind of had a nice bond, and I just had a genuine interest in learning about product. It made my job easier, you know, like, and it was also like, well, I'm gonna smoke it too. I'm gonna smoke it. I gotta talk about it. People, and then you don't want to look dumb either, like, because people are gonna ask you about it.
Right. And that's
so,
the thing. As a bartender, they ask you like, yeah. What do you think about this?
Were you
so
frustrated that brands didn't have written literature on their products? Did you experience that?
Yeah, it was inconsistent. I think some brands dedicate time to creating, and this is kind of like my general rule of thumb. If I can't look your brand up and just kind of see like how it's made or like just like the 101s, it's already a little suspect to me. So
that's a good thing.
It's inconsistent, and so you know, I just kind of fell in love with learning about the product that way, and Murphy kind of created literature, and she was kind of like where I took a lot of, I don't know, like my 101s on
Yes.
how to learn about product and structure what you find.
That's really interesting. Though.
And create a new document
yes.
to help you be better on the floor and quicker on the floor, right? Because when you're a bud tender, you don't got time. You gotta move,
you
know?
Time. Yeah, that's right. That line is long, huh?
Yeah, long, and
that's a good point.
people also,
going.
you ever see like that glaze go over people outside? You know, when you're like deep into talking about cannabinoids and they're just like, and I'm like, never mind, let's bring it back, you know? So it's an art form, being a bud tender and being quick and knowing what you're talking about and not convincing people, but I think people question how much you know and how much is like a little bit of sauce and sales.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You can see that because more like the old school, like or like somebody who's been smoking for a while. You know, we understand it's tricky. Like in the science part, that's where like this wasn't available before. Like before, it was only OG and Girl Scout cookies. Like that's what you buy because they get you higher. So I don't know, but you didn't know. But now it's like the information. You know, like it's crucial, but.
I think about how I shopped before I was a bartender. I saw some of, I like, my old pictures come back, I like my old dispensary hauls. I'm like, oh my god, I bought that? Wow. So it's perspective, right? Kind of like, you learn things and you grow, and but being just enthusiastic about wanting to learn about the product I was selling was kind of like the foundation of just... I have a teaching background too. I think
teachers. Shout out to our teachers. 2 teachers in the house. This is crazy.
Also, I feel like teachers smoke a lot of weed. You know, like
no comment.
Yeah, no comments. But that's another job. You know, that's stressful.
Working for the city.
Yeah. You know,
it gets federal.
You can imagine.
But yeah, so I have a background in teaching, so learning about weed and then taking what I knew and my experience as a waitress selling and just pizzazzing people and wowing people, and then it did, and so it just translated, and then I just was hanging out with my friends, and then I was writing. It all just came together like really perfectly, amazing. You know, and you know, to kind of like circle back to like Cal State East Bay, they gave me that shot, right? Like my editor was like, write about something you like, and I was like, I like weed and I like yoga, and that was my first piece ever. I wrote about Ganja Yoga opening a second location in Oakland. So everything's just, I've always just kind of found space where people will have me doing what I love to do, and just being kind of happy and content doing that. It really fuels me. So yeah, it's a good time.
and this is her book, Broken Art, right?
Yeah.
Poems from me in the mirror.
Yeah.
Okay, what can you tell us about it?
Okay, my little baby.
Yeah,
okay, I'm like
baby,
all shy about
baby.
her. Okay, so this kind of plays into like cannabis and life, right? And so I went through, you know, we go through heartbreak and grief, and you know, I lost somebody really close to me. And I went through a really big transition with like my romantic life, and then I was figuring out who I was, right? It was like at the end of my time at Cal State East Bay. I spent 10 years thinking I was going to be a teacher, and then at the last minute I was like, I'm going to be a writer. So the transition was rough on the soul, and I just was spending a lot of time smoking weed in my room, writing and reflecting, and I just felt I'm brave enough to share it on the internet.
It takes so much. It takes so much. I respect you guys writers.
Oh yeah.
Show.
Oh yeah. So
It's all hidden in the
I know because I'm shy about it. This one because
saying amazing things in this too.
I know. So well, because these ones like I think are easy for me to like show off and like be proud of. This one's such a piece of my soul. So yeah, my little broken heart. Okay, let's switch it.
We got okay. Yeah.
Nice.
There you go. There you go. So yeah. So I was writing a lot and sharing it on the internet, and somebody reached out to me. I created like a whole separate. This is like a different identity for me.
Self-published.
Yeah, self-published.
That's amazing.
That's incredible.
Ahead of the time.
Well, it was the only way it was gonna happen.
Yeah.
Speaking the truth.
And
you hit a fork in the road and went straight.
right, I'm like, and it was more for me. This book is, I think it's also why it's hard for me to share, is this was like, I want to take a sad time in my life, right? A time where I was like really confused and like really just like lost in all of it. And I want to be able to say I made it into something and I can put it away. It was kind of like a weird, like now it's done.
Nice.
You know, like,
Wow,
okay,
that's
it's there. And it resonated with people. For the small like group of people I shared it with, a lot of whom like of those people were like family who also went through grief in like their own ways, and other creatives really resonated with it. And I want to shout out Kayla because she was my artist on this, and she created original art for the cover, for the back, and like she only did. I was really selective with it, so like it just has like the chapter pages. And like I don't like to
do a piece of art
like for each of like the chapters, just kind of like,
nice.
And then I organized it, So and then I had merch for a little bit. We'll get merch back, but
nice. Yeah, we're gonna share the link where you guys can buy it. Man.
Oh yeah. It's on Amazon,
beautiful.
but you can also just go to thatcannabiswriter.com. That's me on Instagram too.
That
Another identity branch for me, content creator.
Great too. I forgot to mention that. It's a great page. You put in a lot of good content on TikTok as well, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
TikTok, bro. We got the
major force on TikTok.
Come on.
The only platform I like blew up,
got all the code word, algorithms, strategic.
You can put in a little cut of like one TikTok.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about TikTok is that the things that blew up were like, I remember showing some of my coworkers and they're like, Becca, that's not funny. I'm like, it was me talking about being a bud tender, and it was like.
It's like talking, right? Like
some of those are incredible.
I know, those are funny.
Really
and they're
insightful.
Funny.
They're funny, yeah,
You really tap deep into the workplace culture and pressures.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
It's pretty cool because, again, and like, it's just the reach that you have, It's like you don't know which platform is going to work for you. That's the beauty of social media.
That's excuse me, sorry.
So let's, going back to how you educated bud tenders.
Yes, I'm good, sorry.
And then you have a TikTok that blew up, your social media is blowing up, you're editing for BALCA. How else did you see yourself educating your coworkers on cannabis? Like, what were those exchanges like or experiences like?
What are those education? It's just really authentic. It was like I said, those were my friends at Lightweight, my family, not in a toxic way. But it was just me talking to them and making it easy. Because education on the bud tending floor is tricky, right? Because you're doing it as you go.
Okay.
And sometimes we would have a moment to sit down, but a lot of times we weren't.
Yeah.
And a lot of dispensaries, you're like next to people. You like
people inside next to behind the bar.
Cashier.
And so you're like playing off each other, right? Like you're talking about a product, and then you're like, oh, I have like something to say that you're just kind of mingling with everybody and exchanging information naturally and organically to make the job easier and to make a sale easier, right? So if I see that, sometimes it was as simple as like, okay, we're trying to make a hard sale on like a $60 eighth or like a really expensive tincture, and the person's kind of like, oh, I'm on the fence. Your homie kind of comes back and you're actually, you know what? They're right. That product is really, really dope. And then kind of like...
I see. Backing up, like reassuring, playing of it, yeah. That makes sense.
Communicating organically and naturally about the products in front of you. And sometimes it's like, I don't know the answer, right? That's the reality of being a bud tender.
Totally.
And that was when I was training people. I'm like, if you don't know the answer, you don't know the answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially if you're talking to like a medical patient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's crazy. Because you're like, you're talking to someone in one consultation that's like, I want to get freaking so high. I want the highest THC. I want the prettiest bud you got. And you're like, okay, your mind is all in that place and you're pulling out a product. And then the next person's like, I have cancer and I need something to help with nausea. And you're like,
that's tricky, yeah.
Okay, and then you're shifting gear and you have to kind of pull up another catalog of information in your brain, and then you have to link that information to product that you have, an inventory that you have, and metrics in, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you have a product in front of you that doesn't have the right sticker on it, and you're like,
it's not sellable.
I can't sell you that.
Wow.
And so then you're like,
yeah.
then you're looking at modifications, right? So it's like, okay, I don't have this tincture. What else do I have? What else is comparable to this product? Is it in the same price range? Is it something that still fits their dietary needs? Like on top of all this stuff. So
right, diet, that's a big
edibles.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
see,
a huge
the
category.
bartenders, it seems easy. You go there and ask for it, but they have all these things happening.
Complexity of modern day bud tending that people do not understand.
That's incredible.
But I think that's why I loved educating and talking about tenders, and people always I had coworkers they're always so sweet to me. They're like, Becca, you know everything. I'm like, I don't know everything. I think I just have a knack for making it easy for everybody to feel like they can understand it, and I want to give that same energy to every other bud tender I meet, or anybody that has the same passion for cannabis and people like I do. So I love doing it. And now I'm on the road, right? And it was really sweet. I ran into a bud tender the other day who stopped me and was like, I really enjoyed listening to you talk about the product, and I really actually love the product, and just had a real enthusiasm for the role, and I saw that it made me so happy. And I asked them, I was like, how long have you been a bud tender? And they were like, 4 weeks. I was like, oh my God, keep that passion and that love, and it's easy to get discouraged.
In this industry, it's like an uphill battle. Everything you do,
I did a 9-month run, and then I did some summer 3 months at a dispensary in Hayward. I was a bud tender, got shut down by the feds in 2007. Helped me through undergrad, great experience. I was becoming a teacher, so similar routes.
That's so cool. Yeah,
I did maybe max a year and a half, and it's daunting. And there's just a lot of really needy people, no information, inventory constantly changing. The managers are just have this drug dealer attitude, so it's
yeah, it's
crazy.
Complex.
It is complex.
It's very complex, and it seems everyone comes in, they're like, I bet this is the best place to work. I bet you're just happy all the time, and I'm like, I'm doing my best, and there are times when it's hard as a bud tender, and I think that it's a great role to be in. How blessed are we to be able to even sell weed across the counter legally and safely and get paid to do so, and to be in the space of other people of like-mindedness. But yeah, it's a customer service role, and you're with people, and it's a lot of energy exchange.
And it's deeply medical.
Yeah, right. And that quick transition, all the time you're dealing with medical, but you're also dealing with it's just weed. And you're not allowed to make medical claims when you're on the floor technically, right?
Yes, that's true.
So
you don't have a medical license.
You're this might help you. My most used words in writing are may and might and possibly, because I'm like,
for our industry is needed. You have them.
Because it's about every product. I could smoke it, you could smoke it, we all could smoke it, and we could all feel 3 very different ways. And I've actually seen, see people's, people give me feedback on weed they smoke, and sometimes it's blind, right? Like sometimes they're just getting a flower and the name of the flower, and then they're giving feedback, right? And I've literally seen people smoke the same flower, and they, you know,
and they give different
opposite feedback.
Right. So I'm like, it is. A lot of people may feel a certain way about that product, but people would be like, "Is it weird that sativa is making me sleepy?" I'm like, "No, it's not weird. It's a thing, you know. Don't ever feel weird."
So many factors, right? That have to do with like how you're feeling, like.
And sativa's not like coffee. That's a horrible.
I used to say that. You know what I mean? I used to say that to people, but I think for me, it's like when I was bud tending, it was like, what's an analogy I could use? You know what I mean? So like when I would talk about like Jack Herer, I'd be like, that's for me like an espresso. Like if I smoke a Jack Herer, my brain is just like, I can't deal with it. So I would use it as more, you know what I mean?
That's a good analogy.
It is.
Jack Herer espresso has some specificity. Sativa and coffee, I'm like,
right. It's a little more.
Yeah, that's like because more specific towards a strain. Yeah, I see that.
But that's language, right? And like one of my biggest hurdles as like a writer and a bud tender and as somebody that actually smokes weed is the language of it all, right?
Right.
And there's big talk in the community about, well, indica sativa hybrid don't mean anything, right? And I'm like, I think that that's very valid in the context in which I think these people are talking about it. I think, however, we have yet to come up with a solution for the customers to make it like universal. Like my thing is like indica sativa hybrid right now are universal.
Right.
A little.
Yes, it makes it easy to explain and talk about
categories.
Categories.
3 categories, sometimes a CBD.
Right. So that, like, I would always like argue, I was like, you know, give me another way to categorize it in like 10 seconds for somebody then. I have 50 products, you know, and how do I get rid of, you know, it's process of elimination, right? How do I get rid of the other options? What other terms? And then, you know, it's now we're coming into the language of terpenes and cannabinoids. Which is still very new, you know, and I think that they're very, very important. But my struggle is always like the connection to the consumer, the person that's buying weed every day. I think as a community, yes, we understand terpenes and terpene profiles and their importance and cannabinoids, but I think for somebody that just smokes weed, you know, every other day, you know, like.
I don't know that much about beer.
Exactly.
But I drink beer. I drink Modelo Especial. I don't know the science behind it. I just
sometimes I'm just looking at the label.
People tell me it's good with lime. I drink it.
Damn,
so it makes sense.
Like
weed is like that too, you know? I'm like, and that's a valid question that bud tenders get as well. What's good? I'm like,
what's good? Yeah, like what
all
you smoking
the time, right?
That's what I asked.
Right?
Honestly, because I mean, like, and I go the second one. Good price.
right?
And then I'm like, good. And like, you know what I mean? They're like, I got you. They bring you something, you know.
I always say, ask about the sales. Ask about the sales first. That's the first thing I want to know. I'm like, where can I save some money? Help me out, you know?
With the best deal.
I think that there's just so much weed to buy. And I think that some flour is well worth the price point. But I don't like that we have to buy a whole eighth of it to find out sometimes.
Yes.
You know? I wish there was more gram options.
Yeah, you know, that's true. That would be great.
Plastic.
But it's a lot of plastic and a lot of packaging.
I know, but
remember,
then
it transformed into that. Like, maybe, no, I think it needs to be more like the open concept that it was. Remember the big jar?
That's what I was just about to say. Like,
that's what we need to go back.
Right.
You weren't wasting anything. Everybody, you know.
Deli style.
Deli style,
right? Smell it, you know.
That was so great.
Yeah, I mean,
Just like pool jars, you know what I mean?
You get a little gram and
like,
do it.
Which nug do you want?
Dude, you get a little one, you're smoking in the bowl right there, and then you're like, you like that one? I'm like, yeah, give me a minute.
It's way over packaged.
It's just the packaging is destroying
cannabis, you know, it just has layers of garbage and just legality.
Because legality, yeah.
But I did a piece on recycling and like cannabis packaging.
Okay.
And at the time I wrote it, which was a couple years ago, there was nothing that said that cannabis packaging can't be made out of sustainable material. Mm-hmm. It just has to meet certain guidelines, right? Like child-proof. Mm-hmm. You know, the way it's labeled and stuff. But I always thought that was like interesting. Like, there's no need for all this. It is a lot of packaging, and it drives me nuts when it's like inside another like package, and then you get in, and then it's like, I'm like, oh my god, I just need the weed, you know? Like, even the edibles sometimes. So packaging is crazy, but people are starting to find other alternative, ways of making it more sustainable. It's hard to be everything in weed. I think that's what I learned.
And that's the thing, we still
price of plastic.
Price and it's just but the way of the industry is right now, it's really tough. So like all those little things transform into a big horror for everybody.
It's all I always say there's cannabis science, there's the cannabis consumer, there's cannabis retail, there's cannabis marketing. And no one's really all on the same page yet,
totally different.
And then there's the farmers, right, and the cultivation, and the foundation of what we are doing is the people growing the flower.
That's crazy, yeah. That's
So, it's hard to do it all, and as a consumer to know what's good all the time, and as a bud tender to know what's happening all the time, and. Sometimes it's you're recommending a product for so long, and then they're actually, did you know that that's really not good for the planet, the way that they do X, Y, and Z?
Things like that, you find out information and get
But it's, we've lived that personally. I mean, I'm sure we've all been really crazy about a certain brand, and then we get older, we're like, oh yeah.
Exactly, yeah. When you see the other side of it's nothing like it, yeah.
Oh, man.
So it needs a lot of misinformation there. There is a lot of fake people,
right.
A lot of people. Fake equity, fake everything, fake minority, just to try to gain advantage. So, that's a good thing too, that we need to, stay together and support each other, because, this is our community, this is our plan. And thank you so much for what you're doing. Really great, really great. So we're gonna take a little break right now, and then we just talk a little more. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Cool, that was fun.
Yay!
Cannabis culture that's not really exemplified, the Vietnamese, natural herbal.
That's another language I think we should do.
100%.
That's, when I asked somebody one time, because they came into the shop, and she was speaking, and I thought it was Vietnamese, but I asked, I was like, what language are you speaking? She was Vietnamese, and I was like, do you have a lot of cannabis literature in your language? And she was like, no. I was like, so the importance of translation is another thing. Key of
accessibility.
Check this out. Interesting fact. SF State introduced me to a young, up-and-coming Asian historian on drugs.
Okay.
Specializes on Chinese opium and state violence. So I was like, tell me all the books on Asian cannabis history. And he goes, there's none. I was like, what? So I don't know of any. I was like, what?
Isn't that crazy? Because that's where weed originates.
Yeah.
That's
crazy.
So in the English language, and it is true, I looked through it, there's books on cannabis history that mentions Asian countries, but that does not qualify as an Asian cannabis history in the English language. That doesn't exist.
That's crazy.
Thailand just went legal. So anyways, the Vietnamese in San Jose.
Yes. I think translating BALCA into as many languages as possible for accessibility is very important.
If we can get a Vietnamese
volunteer
director,
volunteer, please.
To translate. They're already edited. You just have to translate.
We do a lot of volunteer work. So
we need you.
If you want to help us out, open that door. We're asking you. So.
Yeah, that's all. It's all about putting it into the universe.
Yes,
100%.
And
the right person's gonna go.
We didn't know each other for that long.
Exactly.
When we did, we clicked up.
The mind, you connect. Yeah, you put it out and then.
You just wait.
Yep.
And do the work in the meantime.
That's right.
Which is what we're doing.
Right.
So also, while we're asking for an editor, we should ask for writers, right?
Yeah, please. If you want to put your story out.
This is our last piece, right? So we're moving to trilingualism. So we're going to be working on a new piece, and definitely we're going to accept articles from bud tenders, legacy operators, people of color, women, Native American, Latino, Black. We are really a voice of the community.
Yeah.
So.
And I always like to preface is you can write about anything you want. I think we've had pieces that aren't related to cannabis, but just from people in the cannabis community.
Right.
We've had poetry in there, and we've had just personal stories of how their relationship with weed has changed.
Right.
It's not strictly education based. If you have an education article, that's also cool. If you just want to write about anything, CBG, I don't know, your favorite
Specific,
pre-rolls.
Yep, that's right.
It's really open to just what your heart has to say, you know, and just from members of the community, and I think that's what makes BALCA really special. So we have a 1,000-word count limit.
3 pictures.
3 pictures, and I think that's really the only like requirement.
Original.
Original, and I don't know, whatever else you want to write about.
Right.
That's it.
Anything
Read what we put out so you can kind of see what we're talking about, and then you'll see, like what Rebecca says, very open. Some people do poetry, doesn't even reference cannabis, but these are people in the cannabis industry. And there's cannabis leaders writing first-hand histories of important events, like Cindy de la Vega opened up Stizzy Union Square. Lindsay Renner wrote about Autoflower.
I loved that piece.
Right?
Yeah.
That's great.
Really
great
powerful.
information. Yep.
Right. So
really actual like.
Deep culture,
really
deep
important.
education, important history. You know, this can be read 100 years from now, and it's going to capture important cannabis history. So.
Yeah, because it's about right now, and I think that was the original kind of like theme of the first volume of BALCA was like what was happening in 2020, like, and now it's just kind of like, isn't that so cool? I love these, and now it's like a new layout, new design.
Dry legal, man. That's crazy. Like how grown is so easy. Like you say, I love the evolution of it. How simple it is. Multicolored for each language. Easy to read. Easy to digest. Yeah, you guys did great, man.
We want bud tenders to really get this. This is super valuable for bud tenders, bud tender education.
Because it's perspective. And I think when you're bud tending, having the perspective of as many people in your community is very important to how you're going to serve it. You know? And that's why it's great that there's so many topics, because I think cannabis it intersects with so many parts of life that it's never just like, you know, about a product or, you know, or sometimes it's about relationships, right? And like how your relationships change with not just weed, but the people around you and how weed interacts, you know, around you. Like there's been articles about family dynamics too, which I think is a really important perspective. So yeah, I just want all the writers, even if here's the thing, you don't have to be like a writer, right? Like I always feel like
that's the thing. Yeah, you don't have to be a writer. Like
we publish a lot of non-writers, whatever that means.
Everyone's a writer.
Right.
If you can put words to paper, you're a writer. If you can write an email, you're a writer. You can write a text message, you're a writer. So don't feel any pressure. None of us are like, I mean, some of us are professionals, like writers, but you know, not everybody. The level of experience varies, and I think that's also beautiful because
it reads like the community, reads like the people. You know, has that voice. We don't do heavy editing to change that, so it's just very minor editing, like a period here. You know, so.
And for flow, that's my other thing. Like sometimes I'm like moving words around just for story and flow, but it's always just to make the story better, you know, or not better, like just clearer, you know, so your message
easier to read, right?
Yeah, so that it hits. I want emotion to be felt, you know, and sometimes that sentence is better at the top than where you put it, you know. So making it a beautiful piece is my job.
Important work. Really key, incredible work. So tell us more. What has really stuck out to you? You helped edit this mega book. You helped edit this newsletter. You're really on the moment of publication. You know, you're definitely a central figure. So what else do you feel like you've learned from this experience?
That it's a great place to make friends too. Not to be like corny, but it really is, you know, like half of being in the community is just finding somebody to smoke with. And I've met some of my favorite people from events and reading their stories. And I think like that's a big takeaway too, that
there's like a lot of good sub-friends in the BALCA network.
And like, you know, you meet people that work at different shops and then you go to different shops and it's just, it's such a natural, organic way. And I was at the Rosemary Jane event, which was the release party for the book, and now I feel like I can call her my friend, but she was like, oh my god, I know you from like Instagram, and we just like connected at the event because she was there to support BALCA, and she actually wrote for this latest edition. So I think I just love meeting my little stoner friends and little, hearing about people working in the industry. So that's been really fun. Meeting people, connecting,
Cool.
smoking a lot of weed. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. Normalization.
Yeah.
Changing
Before you edit,
civilization.
smoke some. After you edit, smoke some.
Yeah. Well, and it's like a social thing, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that someone once told me they're like when you hang out with someone, like, yeah, we're gonna smoke, but what else are we gonna do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What, people correlate smoking with not being able to do X.
Yeah.
What
that's
can
the worst.
you not do when you smoke?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Now that I'm not a bud tender, I'll tell you this story. One time I smoked a little too much on lunch break.
Yeah, I mean, you won't be there, but
sometimes you do,
fine, so,
and I was not the best version of myself.
Yeah.
I was a little
That could happen,
confused on
of
products,
course.
but
That could happen.
and that's normal too.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly. That's normal too. That's
totally normal to have a moment where you're
yeah.
like, I hit that one too many times.
But then a little bit you're fine. So that's beautiful.
It's a passing moment.
Passing moment.
It totally
You'll be
happens.
fine.
Yeah. I think the longest bad where I was like, I'm way too high. It's probably an hour or two. I was like,
Oh wow.
yeah, but it was a lot. I think I took a dab.
Yeah, one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have get those that are
When
wow.
I was
Why you're so quiet? People start asking why you so it's there's something going on. But we'll get there. But we'll go back. So.
that happens. I was bud tending in Hayward, and they were smoking
so funny.
some major purple, fat, And I came back, and this dude, you can buy up to 8 ounces, right? SP 420. This guy wanted 4 ounces. No, 4 or 5 ounces, right? And he pulls out all these 1s, 5s, and 10s of crumply money. And I was high out of my mind. I was like, 1347. And he just gave me all this money, and I was like, yeah, think it worked.
Yeah.
So,
I'll worry about this later.
so definitely.
Happens.
Yeah.
But that's the other thing, right? Is that sometimes smoking weed helps with the job.
Yeah.
For sure.
Just
Different
like any
things too.
other
Yeah,
job.
right.
So I also can bud tend high. You know what I mean? If
Exactly.
I need to.
Right.
It's all about finding your zen.
Yeah,
dose.
that's what it is. It depends of everybody. It depends of how everybody's feeling certain days. Change. So
Body chemistry. The
That's
more I learn about the
so just
endocannabinoid system,
one puff at a time. Just take your time. It's
low and slow.
Low and slow. Steady.
That's the
It's a
bud
marathon.
tender. Yeah, right. Slow and steady. Yeah. The classic bud tender lines.
Nice.
5 to 10 milligrams is enough. Yeah. Wait
Stupid.
30 minutes before.
Sure.
How you get that?
With the edibles, it's tricky though. That happened to me. I got a little cake for a birthday. The bartender told me it was 4 ounce. I didn't listen, so the whole
It
thing.
all?
Yeah.
How many milligrams?
No, I don't even. I think it was 100. I think.
You ate all of it?
Yeah. So, but the thing is, because I was I'm not feeling it.
Oh.
And I wasn't too savvy with
Classic final
Yes,
line.
and
Don't
because-
ever say that.
Yeah, and the thing is, I smoke a lot, but I don't eat too much. So at that time, it was the same. I was just smoking more, and dude, I got my experience. I was crazy.
You only need one bad trip.
Yeah. But I learned, so it's better just to take your time for sure. It's
Edibles
the
are
edibles
sneaky.
are sneaky, right?
I love edibles though.
What's your favorite edible?
I love Space Gems.
Right.
That's my favorite.
It's
Solventless, vegan,
Right.
and they come in a variety pack, and they're cute.
Right,
I love the Space Gems packaging. It's amazing, and
Right.
I just love that edible. What else do I don't really?
Space Jams, those are really cool. Some friend of
These,
ours
like,
is the one of their salesperson.
Cold water hash.
Yeah.
Mhm, yeah.
Cold water hash, everything is just from in-house.
Oh my God,
Any
So-
other edible products like infused oils that you're into?
Oh, I always shout out the Love Bomb.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
always and I say that
That's
because
That's
those
some
are
of the old brands too,
Yeah.
bro.
Right.
Legendary, old edibles. I met her
think
from the
they're
medical days.
SF Equity too, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not sure.
Maybe
Yeah.
they're not. Maybe not. I don't know.
No,
But
but
shout
they-
out to them. They're dope.
Old
Yeah,
edibles,
great.
female-owned
Yeah.
brands for years.
Yeah.
Steady, strong,
I'm
great brand.
big into the topicals. That's what I do
Yeah.
purchase a lot. I tend to get flour.
This is a big SKU. So what is the brand in this SKU world?
So Ojo de la Sol was one I actually learned.
Shout out to Danya.
Yeah,
She's
I
our
was
homegirl.
introduced, and she
Yeah,
has a
that's
great interview in this piece. I think it's from the first or
Issue
second.
First, the
Mhm.
first or second.
Yeah, so,
Chilena.
but that balm is thick,
Yeah.
like, and green, and you can just tell, like, that one's the fifth one, I think.
Oh, yeah, this is
It might be,
We don't
Yeah,
have
we
the
don't
second
have
one
one.
here,
but great piece, great interview,
but
and the balm, the product is actually like really amazing. I went
Nice.
to Rooted 510, 510, I don't know what's
Right,
in
right,
Oakland, and they sell it there.
do they have it in any San Jose shops?
Not that I was able to look up, and I've been shopping in more of the East Bay lately. In
Okay,
general,
yeah.
but it wasn't in any of the. I haven't seen it in any San Jose shops, which is unfortunate. But I will travel, for
Nice.
a brand that I love, and at the time I hadn't tried it. I just really wanted to support,
Right.
but I tried it, and it's amazing. I have like a really bad shoulder, so.
And you've tried other leading topical
Papa
brands
and Barkley.
in comparison. I don't want to say the names, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I have. Topicals are my jam, yeah.
Yeah, so you could really see Ojo de la Sol.
Oh yeah.
Formulation.
Yeah,
As you said.
that's great.
And that's the thing too. Like usually, brands that are specific in that. I love about them that that's their thing.
Check out our
Just
book.
that's
Goes
the thing.
deep into how this product gets
No,
made.
and that's
so-
why I bought it, because
Yeah.
I was like, it's you can just see it's weed, like it's rich in cannabinoids, it's
Yeah, yeah.
rich in, and it smells delightful. It's really nice, like
Right.
lemony, like
Nice.
eucalyptus. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So just a quality product, and really potent too. It's a
Yeah.
small. I got the smaller jar, but a little bit has gone a long way, and my topicals tend to last me for a long time. So I love Ojo de la Sol. I love Om, Love Bomb. That product specifically. Yeah, I don't really purchase a lot. My homegirl made me some topicals too. I love any homemade.
Nice.
Homemade is
Homemade is the
definitely.
best
I'm
way
all
to-
about homemade,
Yeah.
organic, regenerative coconut oil. Get some quality shake. Bam.
Yeah,
I
that's
had-
it. Yeah, that's it.
I've been writing and editing a lot of articles on how to make your own stuff, and
Nice.
I dabbled in making my own tincture.
Oh,
Shout out
that's
to Chef
cool.
Jen, who
Nice.
another great cannabis influencer. She does like high end,
Chef
like
Jen.
infused.
And that's what humans have been doing for thousands of years.
And it's so
That's the
fun.
relationship with the plant. That's what it's like. Growing your own, making your own.
Yeah.
Those are things that
Learning
are.
how to preserve.
Yeah.
But
it's
it
important for
lasts
us to
too,
do.
right?
Yeah, it
Like,
lasts.
Right.
You can.
Like
I was
a little
looking
bit
it up.
lasts for so long.
Okay, maybe you guys
Yeah,
can
you
help me
may.
with this answer, but like, so basically, like once you decarb the flower, right?
Uh-huh.
Like you can infuse it into a tincture, but then you have that leftover flower, right? What do
Yeah.
you guys do with do you just throw that away?
I would
Do you
throw
use
it
it
away.
to other products? Some people reuse
Some
it.
people, you could. That's what I'm saying. Like you could, like do so many things. You can maybe cook with it, or like something that you can blend it better. I usually just throw it away, but the butter itself, you can use it on anything. Like the coconut oil infused, you can use it on food, eat it by itself. Coffee. It's
Yeah.
great,
It lasts. I made infused sugar.
Nice.
From the leftovers?
No, not from the leftovers. My chef Jen was telling me that you can use it to make a topical.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We didn't get into that, but follow me on Instagram
Nice.
because
Yep.
we can get
That's
into
cool.
that. Because that was like one of my questions. So I'm always trying to like answer those questions for
Yeah.
people. Like, what do I do with this weed?
Right.
But
It's always a-
the flower itself can be utilized like into things that can
Multiple
last you and infuse and get you
Yeah, I'm
high.
gonna check out your video on the if you I don't know if you have one, that would be cool on the how you made the
tincture?
tinctures.
Yeah, we did
Yeah,
it
that would
live.
be cool to
Mhm.
learn. Nice.
Yeah, how'd you do it? You wanna just give a
Yeah.
little summary?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I just took the flour. I had like as a bud tender, you get like a lot of products. So I just found like an old eighth, and like I just put it in the oven, and it's like 250, I think. I don't know. Put it in the oven, and then I use that flour. I just put it in what's that alcohol? It's like the high proof.
Yes,
you know
yes,
what I'm
yes.
talking
What's in
about?
the, yeah, I
Like,
know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
anyway, so I put it in the
high proof alcohol.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like not drinkable.
That
like,
is
for
food
cooking.
grade.
Food grade.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. And I just put it in the
Triple
freezer.
sec? It's triple sec?
Should we wait?
Oh.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Just background noise.
Alright.
We're in Oakland,
Yeah.
something's
Right?
happening.
Hey, I did.
It is.
When I did yoga in Oakland, like that's what all we hear in the background, just like the trucks and the traffic. So I'm like, while we're here, it's the natural background.
So
So will you continue with the recipe?
Oh,
Then you
yeah.
get the alcohol, put it.
And then I put it put it in the jar and I just covered it, and then I just left it in the freezer. And honestly, truly, I forgot about it.
Okay.
But I just left it in the freezer, would take it out every now and then and like shake it. And then I did the live with Chef Jen where I just like took the weed out, like strained it through like a freaking coffee filter.
Okay.
And then I used that the tincture to mix in with just regular sugar, like just sugar I had at the house, and then I baked that to like bake all that out. Alcohol out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And the sugar would.
And then the sugar was infused, and then I used it to like make hot chocolate. It was so good.
Oh,
brilliant! Great recipe. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of
good.
weed. That's an eighth that I wasn't gonna smoke. You know what I mean? And
very working class home remedy. Something you can do in your
edibles are
kitchen.
expensive, so
They could be, and
you know?
you can always be doing your
And
best
this
like
is,
that.
and this is a way to make them healthy.
Right. You can infuse anything, coconut oil, and then you can there are a lot of products through dispensaries like infused hot sauces, infused coffees, like a whole bunch of cool stuff. But you can also, it's really easy to do it at home just by going and buying like an eighth, or getting an eighth wherever you get your eighth and stretching that dollar,
So let's just summarize again. You take an eighth, putting it in
the oven of 250 for 30 minutes.
Right? Yeah.
Food grade alcohol.
Food grade alcohol.
Oh,
Put it in the freezer.
Mm-hmm. And you leave it in the freezer for a couple days at least, I think. But then just take it out every now and then to like shake it, get all the like trichomes and like all that good juju out, soaked in the alcohol, and then
bake it with sugar.
Yeah, strain the weed out, mix it with sugar. And then lay that sugar out on a baking sheet. And then you bake that. I don't know the temperature. Go to Chef Jen. She has those answers for you. And then you just once it's all cooked out and you have dried sugar, it's just infused sugar.
Brilliant.
You can use it for anything. Yeah. Again, coffee, baking goods.
So if you don't want to smoke,
that's healthier too. Healthier way to consume.
Yeah, the thing is like everybody wants to be like, oh, like weed is better for you, but when you're smoking anything, it's
combustion. It's not good.
In your lungs.
Smoke,
And some people can't do that for health reasons.
That's right.
But you can get weed in any form.
Right. There is an amazing UCSF clinical paper that followed people with lung cancer and AIDS, like some people are going to die, and then they're all smoking weed, but they're not like dying from the weed smoke, and they did this like big clinical study, and they found there's like particles within the cannabis plant that counteracts carcinogenic interventions. I was like,
that's the thing about weed though.
This is mind blowing. Yeah,
it's good and bad. Like there are properties of cannabis that like actually like help the like lungs and like it's operate, but it's also like you're smoking
the same like you're smoking too, so it's like you're the combustion, right?
But that goes back to like being unique for the individual, right?
Totally.
And so it's always like
there are always healthier way, like you said, making your own sugar.
My first big shock as a bud tender is when I had really developed cancer patients who would come to me and buy high grade weed and smoke major, and I'm like, should they not be smoking? People are like, dude, that's their medicine. It goes straight to their blood. They tried the edibles, they don't like it. They want to smoke. So I'm like,
that depends on everybody, every patient.
And that's like the
their
needs.
Own needs.
Also like what else is going on with their body. That's always like a major thing. What else is happening? What other medication are you on? And if it works for you, it works for you. Do your thing. Nobody's judging anybody as long as you feel happy, healthy, and well. Consume the way you like,
Alright, okay guys, I think we have wrapped. This was a great episode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, we did it.
Rebecca holding BALCA editorial publications down.
Great things. Her book and everything that she's working
all on Amazon.
there is so many more things we need to talk about, so she's coming back for sure.
Oh yeah, let's do it. I'll be around,
And then if you ever want to interview someone,
you're welcome for it.
Oh yeah.
This is like a BALCA space, so we want BALCA folks and associates to use it.
Nice. Okay.